They're all dead. Just take a second and imagine hearing those exact words. No context, no warning whatsoever. Just this fragile, terrifying voice breaking through the absolute dead of night. In this explainer, we're not looking at your standard sequence of events. We're unraveling a complete anomaly. It's a story that completely defies logic and, well, leaves us with nothing but a haunting echo.
Let's open up the Arizona Dust case file. We're going to treat this harrowing event exactly as what it is, a classified, entirely unsolved mystery. So let's piece together the fragments to understand how a seemingly ordinary trip out into the barren desert transformed into this suffocating nightmare. You know, it's the kind of nightmare where the more facts you actually uncover, the less sense the world makes.
When we think of a nightmare unfolding, our minds immediately jump to chaos, right? We expect to find some gruesome scene out there among the cactuses, screams piercing the night air, maybe blood on the sand, or the terrible wreckage of a car crash off a lonely highway. But there was literally none of that. The genesis of this terror was absolute silence. It just started quietly, over a crackling phone line, just a single phone call. And honestly, sometimes what you don't see or hear is way more terrifying than what you do.
Due to 17 a.m., I really want you to fixate on that time for a moment. That was the exact minute the Coconino County Police dispatcher officially logged the nightmare, 02:17 in the morning. It's that dead hour of the night where the whole world is asleep and the only things awake are the things that probably shouldn't be. There wasn't some slow build-up here. The timeline of terror was just abruptly, coldly stamped into the official record right at that exact minute.
Think about the horrific contrast of that exact moment. If you have ever been to the Arizona desert at night, you know it's vast, empty, and just profoundly quiet. It's a silence that literally swallows sound. But breaking that silence was a terrified whisper. The boy on the phone, Eli, spoke so quietly that the dispatcher had to strain just to hear him. It was as if he was terrified of his own breath, like making even the slightest, most microscopic sound would summon whatever was out there in the dark with him. He was whispering because something was listening.
But here is where it gets crazy. Despite that suffocating distress call, and despite logging the exact location and immediately mobilizing a response out to the desert, officially, the Coconino County Police never found the bodies. No teenagers, no remains, absolutely nothing. A whole group of kids just vanished into thin air, in an era where leaving zero trace is practically impossible.
And what makes this even more impossible is the location itself, the Black Mesa Research Site. Now, you'd think a facility large enough to be called a research site would be super easy to pinpoint, right? But we're actually tracking a mass disappearance event at a facility that the government officially claims is not real. It is not in any zoning record. It doesn't exist in a single state government database. According to all the paperwork, Black Mesa is a total phantom.
So we're dealing with these maddening contradictions here. The official record states there's no facility at Black Mesa whatsoever. Yet reality dictates a group of teenagers went missing exactly there. The official record claims there's absolutely no physical trace of them or any incident even occurring, but we have a legally logged recorded 911 distress call proving they were there and that they were in mortal danger. It is just this glaring, systematic disconnect between what the authorities document and the terrifying truth of what happened.
And think about how systematically the physical evidence was erased from existence. Just look at the list, cold and hard like a redacted police report. Item 1, the physical bodies of the teenagers themselves, gone. Item 2, all state database records of the Black Mesa Research Site, either deleted or they never existed in the first place. And Item 3, which is absolutely crucial, the GoPro camera, the single piece of technology they had with them that could have visually explained the whole shebang.
Actually, let's talk a bit more about that GoPro and this really bizarre detail, the 3-day window. This is where the story crosses the line from a tragic disappearance into something way darker. Because that camera didn't just get lost in the desert sand. It was recovered, it was brought in, and it was officially logged into a secure police evidence storage room. But exactly 3 days later, it mysteriously disappeared, just vanished from a locked, guarded facility. I mean, cameras do not just walk out of secure police storage on their own. Someone with access, someone with a real purpose, went in and took the only visual proof of what happened out there within 72 hours.
So, we are left with nothing. No bodies, no facility, no camera. Literally nothing but the audio, that very first piece of evidence, the tape. Which brings us to the ultimate, chilling question of this whole explainer.
What did the dispatcher really hear? We know Eli whispered that they were all dead, but what else was captured on that tape? What was actually happening around him in the dark as he desperately held that phone to his mouth?
Well, the dispatcher who took that 2:17 a.m. call just couldn't let it go. Later on, she went back to it. She sat in a quiet room, put her headphones on, and listened to the recording of Eli's voice one last agonizing time. She isolated the background noise, listening way past his terrified whisper into the desert night behind him. Now remember, Eli had been out there with 4 other friends, 5 kids in total. But when she listened closely to what was moving in the background, there weren't 5 voices. There were hundreds of them. So what exactly swallowed those kids in the dark? And if you drive out into the Arizona desert tonight, is it still listening?